Hello there and welcome to the Science for Sleep channel. Tonight, we'll explore the quiet, gentle rhythms of everyday life in Thailand, a place where Buddhism, respect, and small rituals flow through the day like soft water over stones. We'll walk through morning offerings made in silence, the footsteps of monks moving through the streets before dawn, the quiet, of greeting, and the calm of temples that feel like natural shelters, not distant temples carved in stone. We'll listen to the distant sound of a temple bell, the soft hum of incense, and the way people move without need to shout, and discover how a culture built on small kindnesses and gentle habits can be one of the most soothing soundtracks you can carry into sleep. You've got absolutely nothing to prove, nothing to solve, nothing to remember. Let your mind rest, your breathing slow, and your body feel light, as if the world has softened around you and gravity itself has taken a step back. Just before we begin, if this helps you rest, consider liking and subscribing, one sleepy soul at a time. Now let's drift into the quiet evenings, calm mornings, and gentle hearts of Thailand, and let the soft pulse of this world carry you slowly into sleep. Many Thais start the day with a simple offering, even before breakfast. There's a quiet moment in many Thai households when the first thing that happens isn't a cup of coffee or a quick check of the phone, but a small plate of food prepared with care and placed somewhere with intention. This simple offering is often rice, a piece of fruit, or a bit of cooked food laid out on a small tray or dish, sometimes near the front door, the spirit house, or a small home altar. The act is done slowly, almost automatically, as if the person's body already knows that starting the day with gratitude is more important than rushing into it. For many Thais, this is less about a religious performance, and more about a reminder that they are not alone in the world, that there are unseen forces, ancestors, or spirits that share the same space. The offering doesn't need to be big, it just needs to be sincere, and that sincerity is what they believe carries real weight. Some people also add a small cup of water, a few flowers, and a lit incense stick, creating a tiny little ritual corner that feels alive even though it's so small. It's not a dramatic scene, it's almost invisible. Someone leans down, says a quiet word in their mind, and walks away, but the gesture carries a full day with it. Observers who live with Thai families often describe how this small morning act marks the boundary between night and day, like a soft, "Okay, we're awake now," signal sent to the universe. The food left on the tray or in front of the spirit house may be replaced once or twice a day, but the underlying idea is the same: a steady stream of small gifts, a constant trickle of merits sent out into the world. Travel blogs and cultural notes mention that even in modern, fast, moving homes, grandparents or parents will still pause to make this offering, sometimes explaining to younger members that it's just what you do, rather than a big explanation. Monks walk through the streets in the early morning, receiving food from residents in silence. Just before the sun fully rises, shaded streets and quiet neighborhoods in Thailand often fill with a very specific rhythm: barefoot or sandaled feet, soft chants, and the quiet clinking of metal bowls. Thai monks, draped in saffron-colored robes, walk in a line through residential areas, sometimes along narrow alleys, sometimes beside busy roads, always moving steadily and calmly. This practice, called tekbat, or morning alms, is a centuries-old tradition that survives even in modern cities and fast-growing towns. Residents who expect the monks to pass often wake a little earlier, preparing small portions of rice, fruit, or other simple foods placed on trays or plates near the front gate or sidewalk. When the monks arrive, no one usually speaks much. People quietly kneel, place the food into the waiting bowls, and sometimes press their hands together in a way, and the monks bow slightly in return. The whole scene is full of movement, but it's also remarkably quiet, as if the act of giving and receiving has a kind of hush built into it. Scholars and travelers who document daily monastic life describe how this ritual is not only spiritual but also social. It creates a daily contact point between citizens and the monastic community. reminding people that monks are not distant figures but neighbors who literally walk past their doors every morning. In some villages, the same monk passes the same house for years, and the residents come to recognize his face, his posture, and his soft way of moving, almost like a familiar sound in the morning soundtrack of life. The way gestures a greeting that combines respect, gratitude, and calm. When two people meet in Thailand, there's a good chance you'll see a very specific movement, hands brought together near the chest or face, fingers touching, palms pressing lightly, a slight bow of the head. This is the wai, the traditional Thai greeting that replaces a handshake, a nod, or a simple hello in many situations. It's not just a signal of, I see you. It's a compact little package of respect, gratitude, and calm all folded into one gesture. Anthropologists and language guides note that the height of the hands and the depth of the bow can change, depending on the situation. Lower hands and a deeper bow for elders, monks, or teachers, higher hands and a smaller bow among friends or equals. Even in busy shopping malls or crowded markets, where there's plenty of noise and movement, the wai tends to appear in quiet lulls, like a soft punctuation mark between louder moments. The gesture doesn't require words. It can be accompanied by a simple hello or a full explanation, but it also works in silence. Families, teachers, and monks often teach children to wai from an early age, not as a performance, but as a built-in part of daily interaction, until the movement feels as natural as breathing. For travelers staying in Thailand for several weeks, many report that the repeated sight of people waiing in shops, in temples, on the street, starts to feel like a visual language all its own, one that emphasizes harmony over chaos and politeness over haste. Temples in Thailand are not only for tourists. Many people visit just to sit and breathe quietly. When people think of Thai temples, they often imagine crowded tourist sites with long lines of visitors. But for many locals, temples are more like quiet retreats than attractions. A lot of Thais don't arrive with cameras or guidebooks. They come with the simple intention of sitting for a while, letting their thoughts settle and feeling the calm of the place. Temples often have shaded corners, quiet halls, and open courtyards where people can sit on the floor, close their eyes, or simply look at a Buddha image without saying anything out loud. Travel writers and cultural observers note that even in big cities like Bangkok, everyday Thais still slip into temples during lunch breaks, after work, or early in the morning, just to escape the noise and feel a bit of stillness. Some people pray silently, others meditate, and others simply sit and watch the light filter through the trees or through the high windows of the temple hall. Monks moving quietly through the space, the sound of a distant bell, and the soft smell of incense can all create a cushion of calm that feels completely separate from the busy streets outside. Residents who live near a temple often describe it as their quiet corner, a place where they know they can go anytime, without planning or invitations, and just be still. There are over 40,000 temples spread across the country, many in small villages. Thailand is home to tens of thousands of Buddhist temples, and while the big, golden structures in Bangkok or Chiang Mai make the headlines, many of the most ordinary temples are tucked into quiet villages, tucked behind trees, or sitting quietly at the edge of rice fields. Estimates and cultural summaries often put the number of temples at over 40,000, scattered across the country in a way that means almost every community, even the smallest, has at least one place where people can go to pray or simply be quiet. In rural areas, a temple might be the only large building in the village, with a simple hall, a Buddha image, and a small open space where people gather on festival days. Children grow up playing around the temple grounds, older people sit on the shaded steps, and monks walk back and forth with soft steps, creating a rhythm that feels both familiar and gentle. Travelers and ethnographers who visit these smaller temples often describe a sense of calm that feels different from the sanitized silence of museums or the busy formality of tourist temples. In a small village temple, the floors might be slightly worn, the paint a bit faded, and the air warm and thick. But the feeling of stillness is often stronger because it's so close to everyday life. The sheer number of temples across the country suggests that there's always a quiet corner within reach, a place where someone can stop, kneel, or sit for a moment without needing to travel far. Hearing harsh insults is rare because respect is part of the social fabric. In Thailand, sharp curses and loud verbal attacks are not common in daily life, and strangers or neighbors rarely exchange raw insults on the street or in traffic. Instead, there's a general expectation that people will keep their tone mild, even when frustrated, and that strong words are something to be used sparingly, if at all. This isn't enforced by law but by custom. Children are taught to be polite, to avoid pointing fingers, and to respond with a smile or a soft, sorry, even when they're not completely at fault. The idea is that protecting the other person's dignity is almost as important as protecting your own. So a raised voice or a rude word is seen as a kind of social tier, something that disrupts harmony. Even in crowded markets or during traffic jams, most people keep their volume low and save the real irritation for quiet murmurs rather than open shouting. The Thai smile often hides conflict, but it still brings a kind of outer peace. The famous Thai smile can be both genuine and protective, sometimes masking stress, discomfort, or disagreement while still creating a calm outer surface. In many situations, people will smile when they're actually anxious, embarrassed, or unsure, because maintaining a peaceful appearance is seen as a way of keeping the group feeling safe. This doesn't mean the smile is fake in a cruel sense. It's more like a social cushion, a way of saying, we're still okay, even when things are not perfect. Visitors often notice that angry confrontations are rare because people prefer to walk away, laugh it off, or smooth things over instead of escalating tension. The smile becomes a kind of reflex, a habit that softens edges and gives other people space to feel at ease, even if the person smiling is struggling inside. Anthropologists and travel writers sometimes describe this as a cultural commitment to avoiding open conflict, which shapes everything from small arguments at home to negotiations in the marketplace. Thailand follows the Buddhist calendar, which is 543 years ahead of the Western one. Thailand uses a Buddhist calendar that counts years from the traditional date of the Buddha's passing, so the year shown on official documents and calendars is often 543 years ahead of the Western Gregorian calendar. For example, when the rest of the world is in 2026, parts of Thailand are already living in 2569, a small but constant reminder that the country is anchored in a different timeline. This difference isn't just a technical detail. It's a quiet signal that the nation's sense of time is tied to spiritual history, rather than only to political or economic dates. The extra years create a subtle sense of continuity, as if every day is one more step along a long road that began long before most people alive today. For locals, the calendar is simply what they grew up with, a background rhythm that shapes school years, government records, and festival dates. Travelers who stay for a while often notice how people casually mention Buddhist year in conversation, as if time itself has a second layer flowing underneath the usual numbers. When the clock shows 1 year in the West, Thailand is already living in a different chronological world. Because of the Buddhist calendar, Thailand exists in a separate numerical world when it comes to the year, but the rest of daily life still feels completely normal. People wake up, go to work, listen to news, and use technology just like anywhere else, yet their official paperwork, newspapers, and some temple signs display a year that looks decades ahead. This creates a quiet dual awareness. The world runs on the same 24-hour day, the same seasons, and the same routines, but the label on the year suggests a deeper, older story. For Thais, this offset is not a source of confusion, but a subtle reminder that their culture sees time as part of a spiritual journey as much as a sequence of events. The calendar links the present to centuries of monastic record-keeping, royal dates, and temple anniversaries. So even a modern invoice or ID card carries a trace of that long line. Travelers who live in Thailand for a few months often say that the 5543 starts to feel natural, as if their own sense of time quietly expands to include another layer. Many houses in Thailand have a small spirit house near the entrance for the unseen residents of the land. In Thailand, it's common to see a tiny, ornate structure standing somewhere near the front of a house or a shop, often painted in bright colors and decorated with flowers, flags, or small offerings. This is the spirit house, a little shrine built for the spirits that are believed to inhabit the land where the building stands. According to local belief, every piece of land has its own set of spirits, and building a house or a shop disturbs their home. So the spirit house is a way of giving them a new, comfortable place to live. Families often place offerings there daily or several times a week: a cup of water, a few flowers, a bit of food, or even a red drink, to keep the spirits content and protect the household. The ritual is done quietly, as if the house is constantly sending small, gentle gifts to the invisible residents who share the space. Anthropologists and travelers who write about spirit houses note that the practice is taken seriously by many Thais, even if they don't talk about it constantly in public. The spirit house becomes a kind of invisible roommate, a reminder that the world is not only made of people and buildings, but of unseen presences that deserve respect. These little spirit houses are cared for with small, daily offerings like flowers and water. In front of many Thai homes and shops, you'll see a small, colorful structure that looks like a tiny temple standing on short posts or a little pedestal. This is the spirit house, a place where families believe the local spirits of the land can rest after their home or shop has been built on their territory. Every morning or evening, someone in the house might walk over, place a fresh flower, a small cup of water, or a bit of food on the tiny platform, almost as casually as watering a plant. The flowers are usually simple, sometimes a few chrysanthemums, jasmine, or marigolds, chosen for their brightness and fragrance rather than their cost. The water in the little bowl is changed regularly, so it never looks old or dusty, as if the house wants to keep this invisible guest feeling welcome. Observers note that people rarely talk loudly about the spirit house in front of visitors. They just do it automatically, like making the bed or opening a window. The consistency of these small gestures creates a quiet rhythm. The spirit house is never forgotten, never ignored, even when life gets busy. Children in Thailand learn early not to point their fingers, raise their voices, or show disrespect. From a young age, Thai kids are gently guided away from loud, aggressive behavior and toward quieter, more polite ways of moving through the world. They are taught not to point directly at people, not to shout in public, and not to interrupt elders when they are speaking. Instead, they learn to lower their voices, make eye contact softly, and wait their turn in conversation. Parents often correct a child's behavior not with harsh scolding, but with a quiet reminder, a small gesture, or a brief explanation that ties into respect for others. Schools and temples also reinforce these habits, praising children who sit quietly, bow properly, and help their classmates without needing to show off. The result is a generation that often feels more restrained, more careful with their words, and more aware of how their actions affect the people around them. The head is treated as sacred, and touching someone's head is a strong sign of disrespect. In Thai culture, the head is seen as the highest and most important part of the body, not just physically, but spiritually and symbolically. Touching another person's head, even in a playful way, is deeply frowned upon because it breaks the invisible boundary of respect. People avoid patting heads, ruffling hair, or casually leaning on someone's shoulder because those gestures feel intrusive rather than affectionate. Even parents tend to be careful, limiting direct contact with a child's head to very gentle moments, if they do it at all. The same idea extends to other objects. People won't put a hat or a bag on their head if they can help it, and they avoid passing items over someone's head. This belief reinforces the larger cultural pattern of not invading personal space and not treating the body in a careless way. Feet are considered the lowest part of the body, and showing the sole of the foot is something to be careful about. Thai people often avoid pointing their feet directly at others, especially at elders, monks, or Buddha images, because the soles are seen as the dirtiest and most humble part of the body. When sitting on the floor in a temple or in someone's home, people will tuck their feet under their bodies or behind them so the soles are not facing anyone. They also try not to put their feet up on furniture or lean against someone with their shoes, treating the feet with the same respect as any other part of the body, even though they are low. In temples, people usually remove their shoes before entering the hall, placing them neatly outside the doorway, so the sacred space never steps on the ground that shoes have walked on. The idea is not to be ashamed of feet, but to keep them in a modest place, not in front, not in charge, just quietly supporting the rest of the body. The idea of Kreng Je is like an invisible rule: do not disturb, do not bother, do not demand. Kreng Je is a Thai concept that doesn't have a perfect one-word translation in English, but it's something like a quiet pressure to avoid inconveniencing anyone else. People use it when they don't want to ask for help, when they don't want to say no directly, or when they hesitate to impose their needs on someone else. A friend might refuse an invitation because of Kreng Je, meaning they don't want to trouble the host. A colleague might stay late at work because of Kreng Je, not wanting to leave the others behind. The word shows up in so many everyday situations that it becomes an almost automatic filter. Will this disturb them? Will this embarrass them? Will this be too much? In many cases, people choose to sacrifice their own comfort just to keep the environment calm. The sabai feeling is like a personal motto: be calm, be slow, don't rush. In Thailand, people often say sabai, which means to feel comfortable, relaxed, and at ease without pressure or hurry. The phrase shows up in everyday conversation. Someone asks, "How are you?" And the answer is sabai, not busy or fine in a stressed way. It's a gentle reminder to themselves and to others that the day does not have to be fast, loud, or crowded with things to do. The idea of sabai is built into the way Thais sit, talk, and move. They avoid sudden movements, sharp turns, or abrupt changes whenever they can. Even in a crowded market, a woman might slowly choose her fruit, a vendor might slowly count the money, and a child might slowly bite into a snack, all moving at a shared, soft pace. In many shops, the environment is noisy, but the sellers keep a soft, gentle tone. Thai markets and small shops can be filled with the sounds of chopping food, frying oil, motorbikes honking, and people calling out prices, but the voices of the sellers themselves are often surprisingly calm. Vendors rarely yell to get attention. They keep their volume low, their smiles warm, and their hands moving slowly. Even when they are busy, their stress tends to stay quiet, not loud. A customer might hear a soft hello, a gentle thank you, and a small sorry, more often than a sharp quarter up, or a harsh next one. This contrast between the surrounding noise and the seller's calm creates a kind of protected bubble. A small space where the world feels a little quieter, even though the street is crowded. The Thai smile is a kind of shelter, but it doesn't mean the problem has disappeared. The famous Thai smile can be both real and protective, hiding worry, embarrassment, or sadness behind a calm surface. In many situations, people smile when they are actually struggling, because showing distress out loud is seen as disruptive or uncomfortable for others. The smile becomes a tool to protect the group, to keep the atmosphere light, to avoid making anyone else feel awkward. It doesn't erase the difficulty, but it softens the way it is carried. Visitors sometimes notice that disagreements in Thailand are often resolved with smiles, soft apologies, or gentle silences rather than loud arguments, because the culture values harmony over confrontation. Street food in Thailand is loud and chaotic, but the chaos is organized and gentle. Night markets and food stalls often feel like a whirlwind of smells, colors, and sounds: people shouting orders, pans sizzling, fans blowing, and motorbikes weaving through the streets. But beneath that surface noise, there's a quiet order. Vendors have their own small spaces, customers line up patiently, and everything moves in a shared rhythm. The chaos is busy, but it's rarely cruel or aggressive. A vendor might smile while taking an order, A cook might hand a plate over with a soft, "Thank you," and a child might sit quietly on a plastic stool, watching the world spin around them. Even in the busiest night market, there's a sense that people are moving around each other, not through each other, and that the noise is part of the scenery, not part of the conflict. Many families in Thailand visit the temple on Sundays, just like going to the park. For a lot of Thai households, temple visits on weekends are not unusual or special, they are part of the normal rhythm of life. On Sundays, parents might pack a small bag, children might put on their best clothes, and the whole family walks or drives to the local temple, the way people in other places might go to a park, the beach, or a cafe. The temple is not intimidating or foreign, it's a familiar place where people feel at home. They might sit on the floor, listen to a monk's soft voice, leave a small offering, or simply enjoy the shade and the quiet. Children run around the temple grounds. Older people sit in the shade, monks walk quietly through the space, and everyone moves at a gentle pace. The atmosphere feels relaxed, not forced, as if the temple is just another part of daily life, not a separate world. A monk sitting under a tree, surrounded by soft light, is a common image in Thailand, not just a tourist photo. In many villages, towns, and even parts of big cities, you can see a monk sitting quietly on a simple mat, his saffron robe bright against the shade of a large tree. The branches spread above him, filtering the sunlight into small patches on the ground, and the air around him feels a little slower, a little softer. People walking by might pause, bow their heads slightly, or simply glance at him with a quiet respect, as if his presence is a kind of natural landmark. The monk might be reading a book, meditating, or just sitting with his eyes half closed, not doing anything dramatic, just being there. This image repeats itself in different places across the country, in different seasons, under different trees. But the feeling stays the same. A moment of calm carved out of the middle of the day. Meditation is seen as something simple, not a complicated ritual that only monks can do. In Thailand, many people don't think of meditation as something reserved for temples, retreats, or spiritual experts. They think of it as a quiet way of sitting with your own mind. Some people sit for a few minutes in the morning, close their eyes, and focus on their breathing, trying not to follow every thought that passes by. Others might sit in a temple, listening to a monk's soft voice, or simply gazing at a Buddha image without saying anything out loud. The idea is not to be perfect, not to empty the mind completely, but just to slow it down a little, to let the thoughts stretch out instead of rushing in a crowd. Parents and teachers sometimes tell children to sit quietly, to close their eyes, and to count their breaths, treating meditation like a simple mental exercise, rather than a mysterious spiritual practice. The repetition of these small moments creates a kind of natural habit. The body learns that it can sit still, the mind learns that it can slow down, and the day learns that it does not have to be filled with constant noise. Many companies in Thailand have a small time for meditation or silence at the start of the workday. In some offices, shops, and even factories, employees gather for a few minutes before the real work begins, sitting together quietly or listening to a short meditation. The space might be a simple corner, a small room, or even just a cleared area in the middle of the workspace, marked only by a small Buddha image or a piece of cloth on the floor. A manager or a designated person might lead a short guided meditation, or they might just signal that it is time to sit still for a moment and breathe. The idea is not to make everyone religious, but to give them a mental reset, a chance to leave the stress of the morning outside and enter the workday with a calmer mind. Even in busy, modern workplaces, people will often sit in a circle, shoulders relaxed, hands resting on their knees, letting the noise of phones and conversations fade for a few minutes. The atmosphere changes during that time. The air feels a little thicker, the movements quieter, the voices lower. The silence inside a Thai temple is one of the most accessible kinds of peace a person can find. When you step into a temple in Thailand, the first thing you might notice is the way the sound changes. The street noise fades. The footsteps of other visitors become softer, and even your own voice feels smaller. The room is often dim, lit by a few lamps, candles, or the faint light coming through wooden windows. People sit quietly on the floor, kneeling before a Buddha image, bowing their heads, or just looking at the altar with a calm expression. The space is filled with a kind of invisible stillness, like the air itself is holding its breath. Monks move slowly through the hall, their robes brushing the floor, their hands folded in front of them, their faces calm and composed. The sound of a distant bell or a soft chant might echo through the space. But it doesn't break the silence, it just adds to it. Like a gentle ripple on the surface of water. For visitors who stay for a while, the temple can feel like a separate world, a place where time moves a little slower and the mind is allowed to rest. Even in big cities, the constant rush is regularly punctuated by small moments of stillness. In places like Bangkok, the streets are full of motorbikes, buses, taxis, and people rushing from one place to another, yet you can still find pockets of quiet woven into the chaos. A small park might sit quietly between two tall buildings, filled with trees, benches, and a few people sitting with their eyes closed or reading a book. A quiet alley might lead to a small temple, tucked away from the main road, where the noise of traffic fades into a soft hum. A cafe might have a corner where customers sit without talking, just watching the world pass by. These small spaces of stillness are not dramatic or hard to find. They are simply part of the city's rhythm, like the pauses between notes in a piece of music. People walk through them unconsciously, feeling the change in the air, the drop in volume, the softness of the light, without always realizing that this is what they have been craving. Hearing the sound of a temple bell in the distance is like a quiet reminder to slow down in the middle of the noise. In Thailand, many temples have a bell that is rung at certain times of the day, its sound traveling through the streets, between houses, and over the rooftops. The sound is not sharp or harsh, it is deep and soft, almost like a long, low breath that moves through the air. People walking on the street might pause for a moment, not because they are forced to, but because the sound naturally draws their attention. The bell becomes a kind of marker in the day, a gentle punctuation that breaks the rush and gives everyone a small space to breathe. Even in a city full of traffic, construction, and crowds, the sound of a temple bell can cut through the noise without feeling like an interruption. Hearing monks' chants in the background can be something people listen to every day without really noticing. In many Thai neighborhoods, you can hear the soft sound of monks chanting drifting through the air, sometimes from a nearby temple, sometimes from a small shrine, sometimes from a radio or a speaker. The chants are not loud or dramatic, they are low, steady, and almost like a soft hum that blends into the background of daily life. People walking to work, children going to school, and vendors setting up their stalls might hear the sound and simply keep moving. But the tone of the chants still shapes the air around them. The words are often in Pali, a language that many Thais do not fully understand, but the rhythm of the sound is what matters more than the meaning. The repetition of syllables, the rise and fall of the voice, and the long, drawn-out tones create a kind of musical pattern that feels calming even to someone who does not know the language. The idea of not disturbing spreads from traffic to the way people keep the volume of music. In Thailand, there's a strong cultural habit of avoiding anything that feels too loud or intrusive, especially in shared spaces. On the streets, people will often keep their voices low, avoid honking unnecessarily, and try not to create sudden, sharp noises that could startle others. The same idea extends to the way people use music, both in private spaces and in public. In shops, cafes, and small restaurants, the music is usually kept at a background level, just enough to create an atmosphere, but not so loud that it blocks conversation or thought. At home, people might turn the volume down if they know someone else is studying, resting, or sleeping. The awareness of others' comfort is constantly present, even if it is never spoken out loud. Respect for elders is an almost invisible rule, but it shows up clearly in everyday life. In Thailand, Older people are treated with a kind of automatic deference that is so common it often goes unnoticed by the people who practice it. Younger people will usually speak more softly when an elder enters the room, move aside to make space, lower their tone, and avoid speaking over them. Children learn early to bow slightly to older relatives, to use respectful pronouns, and to let the older person go first, not as a special performance, but as part of the normal way of moving through the day. The rule is not written down, but it is deeply embedded in the way families, schools, and temples operate. Even in casual conversations, people will pause when an older person starts to speak, not out of fear, but out of a quiet understanding that the elder's voice carries more weight. Hearing a young person call an older person konkal or konti is a normal habit, not just a sign of affection. In Thailand, using terms like ta or tio for older people is a common way of showing respect, even when there is no blood relation. A teenager might call a neighbor's mother, tia, a student might call a teacher, tia, and a customer might call a shopkeeper, tio, simply because the person is older and deserves a more polite form of address. The terms are used so often that they sound natural, almost like pronouns, rather than something special or formal. The habit reinforces the idea that age is not just a number but a sign of experience, wisdom, and a kind of authority that is to be treated carefully. Silence in a TV room is common when an older person enters the house. In many Thai homes, the television might be on, the screen glowing with bright colors and loud sounds. But when an older family member walks in, the volume is quickly turned down or the TV is switched off entirely. The gesture is not announced or explained, it just happens, as if the room automatically adjusts to the presence of the elder. The younger people in the room will often turn their heads, bow slightly, and lower their voices, not out of fear, but out of a quiet understanding that the elder's comfort comes first. The silence that follows feels natural, not forced, like the air has simply been calmed by a small, unconscious adjustment. The TV can stay off for a while, or the volume can stay low, and the conversation can shift into something softer, more personal, more intimate. Buddhism in Thailand teaches more about how to handle things than about detailed beliefs. In many Thai communities, people talk less about the exact doctrines of Buddhism and more about the way it shapes their daily decisions. The focus is on practical wisdom, how to respond to anger, how to deal with loss, how to move through the day without adding more chaos to the world. The teachings are not presented as a strict set of rules, but as gentle suggestions, like a quiet voice in the background that reminds you to be kind, to be patient, to be careful with your words. Parents might tell their children to think before they speak, to avoid hurting others, to apologize when they are wrong, and to share what they have with people who have less. Monks might give short talks that are full of simple stories and everyday examples, not abstract philosophy. The idea of karma is remembered when someone does something hurtful, not just as religion, but as culture. In Thailand, many people talk about karma as a kind of natural law that connects actions to consequences, not in a harsh, punishing way, but in a gentle, flowing one. When someone does something unkind, the idea of karma is quietly present, like a soft reminder that the same energy will come back sooner or later. The thought is not always spoken out loud, it just lives in the background, shaping the way people choose to act. A person might decide not to shout in anger, not to spread gossip, or not to take more than their fair share, because they feel that those actions will weigh on their own life later. The idea of karma is woven into stories told to children, into everyday conversations, and into the way people explain why good things happen to good people and bad things happen to those who cause harm. The idea that good actions attract good results appears often in children's stories. In Thailand, many folk tales, fables, and simple stories told to children revolve around the idea that kindness, honesty, and patience are rewarded in some way. The stories are not always dramatic or magical. They are often quiet, everyday tales about a child who helps an older person, a farmer who shares his food, or a friend who tells the truth even when it is hard. The characters are ordinary, and the rewards are gentle: a small smile, a quiet blessing, a feeling of peace, rather than sudden wealth or fame. The repetition of these stories over time shapes the way children think about the world, teaching them that good behavior is not just a duty, but a kind of natural rhythm that feels right. The idea of karma becomes part of their imagination, not as a scary threat, but as a soft, comforting pattern that explains why people who are kind often feel a little more at ease. The silence of a temple is a kind of reset for the mind after a busy day. In Thailand, people from all kinds of backgrounds visit temples, not only to pray, but to let their minds settle after hours of work, stress, and noise. The temple is not a place of loud excitement or dramatic energy. It is a place of stillness, where the air feels a little heavier, the light a little softer, and the sounds a little more distant. When someone sits inside a temple, the first few minutes might be filled with thoughts about the day, the tasks that are still waiting, the problems that need to be solved. But as the silence stretches, those thoughts begin to slow down. The mind, used to rushing from one thing to the next, learns that it can also sit still, that it does not have to chase every thought. The soft presence of the Buddha image, the quiet of the hall, and the slow movement of the monks all create a kind of mental reset, a moment where the mind can let go of the weight it has been carrying. A temple in a village by a river often looks ancient, even if it was built recently. In many Thai villages, the temple sits close to the water, sometimes right on the edge of a river, sometimes a little higher on a small hill that overlooks the flow. The buildings are usually simple, with wooden pillars, tiled roofs, and open spaces where people can sit and look out at the water. Even if the temple is new, it often looks older, because the paint is slightly worn, the wood is softened, and the trees around it have grown tall and shady. The river reflects the sky, the clouds, and the silhouette of the temple, creating a kind of mirror that makes the building feel even more permanent. Children play near the water, older people sit on the steps, and monks move slowly between the buildings, all of them part of the same quiet rhythm. The sound of the water and the silence of the temple blend together without any conflict. In these riverside villages, the temple is not separate from the nature around it. It is part of it, like a stone in a stream. The water flows quietly, sometimes making a soft murmur as it moves over rocks or past the banks. The temple sits on the edge, its walls close enough that the sound of the river can be heard when the doors are open. The monks walk to the water to collect it. Children run to the edge to play, and the villagers move between the two spaces without feeling that one is more sacred than the other. The silence of the temple does not fight with the sound of the water. It just exists beside it, like two different kinds of stillness sharing the same space. The air feels calm, and the mind feels protected, as if the world has found a gentle balance between movement and rest. Many temples in Thailand are in simple places with no big signs, just the smell of incense as a guide. In small towns and villages, the temple might not be announced by a bright gate or a big plaque. It just sits quietly, sometimes behind trees, sometimes on a quiet side street, sometimes hidden from the main road. The first clue that you are near it is the smell of incense, a soft, sweet, slightly woody scent that drifts through the air. The path leading to the temple is often simple, worn smooth by the feet of people who have walked there for years. The buildings might be modest, the decorations not flashy, the colors not loud, but the space feels different from the rest of the village. There is a kind of quiet gravity that pulls people in, even if they don't know exactly what they will find inside. The simplicity of the place makes it feel more real, more approachable, less like a tourist attraction and more like a natural part of daily life. The smell of incense is a kind of everyday perfume, not just a religious detail. In Thailand, the scent of incense is present in many places, not only in temples, but also in homes, shops, and even on the streets. People use small sticks, small cones, or tiny bowls of scented material, lighting them to create a soft, steady aroma that fills the air. The smell is not sharp or overpowering, it is gentle, slightly sweet, and slightly smoky. like a quiet memory rather than a loud announcement. Families might light incense every morning or evening, not because they are trying to impress anyone, but because it feels like a natural part of the day, like opening a window or turning on a light. The scent becomes a kind of background atmosphere, something that people notice only when it is missing. Hearing the sound of a temple bell is like a signal that time moves differently in that place. In Thailand, the bell of a temple does not just mark a specific hour, it carries a kind of soft weight that makes the moment feel a little more important, a little more intentional. When the bell rings, everything else seems to pause for a moment, not because anyone is forced to stop, but because the sound naturally draws attention. The air feels thicker, the movement slower, and the thoughts a little more focused. People walking by might bow their heads slightly, children might look up, and those sitting in the temple might close their eyes, letting the sound wash over them. The bell becomes a kind of punctuation in the day, a reminder that there is another rhythm beyond the usual rush of traffic, work, and noise. The sky between the golden roofs of Thai temples is a common sight in the lives of many Thais. In villages, towns, and cities, the silhouettes of temples rise above the rooftops, their spires pointing toward the sky, their golden surfaces catching the light of the sun. The sky stretches between them, sometimes blue, sometimes gray, sometimes filled with soft clouds that move slowly over the city. People walking under those roofs, children playing near the temples, and older people sitting in the shade, all look up at the sky through the same frame, without always noticing that they are part of the same image that repeats thousands of times a day. The sky feels vast, endless, and patient, holding everything beneath it with a quiet, steady presence. The sunset over a mangrove river is a quiet, wordless image that still carries a strong presence. In some parts of Thailand, rivers wind through mangrove forests, their surfaces reflecting the colors of the sky as the sun begins to set. The water moves slowly, the trees stand tall and dark, and the air grows warm and thick. The sky above turns into shades of orange, pink, and purple, the colors bleeding into each other, wrapping the river and the forest in a soft glow. People might sit on the bank, children might play near the edge, and boats might move slowly across the water, their reflections stretching long and thin. The scene is almost silent, filled with the soft sounds of water, distant voices, and the gentle rustle of leaves. Hearing children playing in the background of a temple is normal, and it does not feel like a violation of the sacred space. In Thailand, temples are not only places for adults to pray or meditate, they are also part of everyday life, shared with children who grow up around them. Kids run across the open courtyards, play under the trees, sit on the steps, and sometimes follow their parents as they make offerings or bow before the Buddha image. The sound of their laughter, their running, and their soft calls blends into the quiet atmosphere of the temple without breaking it. The monks move calmly through the space, the elders sit quietly, and the children continue to play, all of them part of the same rhythm. The temple feels alive, not frozen, as if it is a place where daily life and spiritual practice can coexist in a gentle balance. The silence of a temple can be broken by someone entering slowly, but it still feels like the same silence. In Thailand, when a person walks into a temple, their footsteps are usually soft, their movements slow, their presence careful. The door might creak slightly, a robe might brush against the floor, a hand might touch a wooden pillar, but the sound is gentle, almost like a whisper. The person finds a place to sit, bows their head, closes their eyes, and lets the space wrap around them. The original silence is not destroyed by this small interruption, it just shifts, like water around a stone, absorbing the new presence without losing its calm. The air still feels thick, the light still soft, and the mind still resting. The everyday life in Thailand is a mix of quiet, respect, and small rituals that almost never get talked about. In homes, on the streets, in temples, and in shops, the rituals of daily life repeat quietly, without fanfare, without explanation, without the need to highlight them. People wake up, make small offerings, bow to elders, why to strangers, pour water for the spirits, and sit in temples, all of these actions happening, so often that they fade into the background. The culture is not built on loud declarations or dramatic gestures, but on a steady, gentle rhythm of small, repeated acts of kindness, respect, and care. The mind grows used to this rhythm, learns to move more slowly, to speak more softly, to think more carefully. And as the night settles in, we slowly circle back to where we began, to the quiet offering set out in the morning. The small plate of food, the cup of water, the flowers left near the spirit house, all of it offered without a demand, without a need for applause, without anyone watching. The day ends not with noise, but with silence, not with urgency, but with a soft pause, like a candle slowly burning down to the last bit of light. The temple bells fade into the distance. The monks' chants blend with the night air, and the streets slowly empty, leaving only the quiet presence of the river, the trees, and the rooftops resting under the sky. You can stay exactly where you are, with your eyes closed, your body heavy, and your mind softly drifting, knowing that the world outside still moves, but you no longer need to follow it. Sleep is not something you have to reach for. It is something that arrives, like a gentle guest, once you stop trying so hard to stay awake. We'll meet here again, in the quiet spaces between one day and the next, in the soft breath between thoughts, in the gentle world of Thailand, where even the smallest gesture holds a kind of quiet magic. Until then, thank you for resting with us. Let your breath guide you, let your heart slow down, and let this quiet, kind energy slip into your dreams. Good night.